How's it going, everyone? This is Galahal Gaming. Welcome back to the Phasmophobia Beginner's Guide. Now, once again, we are doing a sort of random series. This is just how it feels to hunt every ghost type, or what to look out for with certain ghost types. Last time we had a Goryo, which is the most RNG heavy ghost, so hopefully now we will have a bit better time of it. Of course, we're always going to be hunting on Tanglewood Drive. The Blood Moon event is going on right now, but I'm choosing to avoid the maps with the Blood Moon because Blood Moon does affect the aggression level of some ghosts. So for right now, we're just going to do standard hunts. I'm also bringing in at least one of every item because some of these items, for instance, the incense, the crucifix, salt piles, candles, these are going to be necessary to differentiate between some of the ghosts. But anyway, let's go ahead and grab flashlight, thermometer, and camera, and I will be right back once I figure out what type of ghost it is, just so that I can tell you guys, or I can give you guys a direct example of hunting the ghost. Just like, instead of you watching me figure out what type of ghost it is, and then, oh, hey, we need to do this one. I can give you the exact information at the time of, like, when I figure out who it is, so I can give more accurate information. That whole long spiel was basically just saying, once I know what the ghost is, I'll be able to give a lot more accurate tips to hunting them. Anyway, we'll be right back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost as if Phasmophobia loves to fucking troll me. Cause, guess what the ghost of this one is? The shyest son of a bitch in the world. That's right, today's ghost is the Shade. So for those of you who don't know, of course, the ghost journal, or the ghost part of the journal, does have more information on all of the ghosts. It's very bare bones, though, so I usually prefer to read off of the wiki just to give you guys more accurate information. Shades. Shades are known to be very shy. There's evidence to suggest that a shade will stop all paranormal activity if there are people nearby. Its strength, shades are much harder to find, and its weakness, the ghost will not enter a hunt if there are people nearby. This is regardless of sanity, by the way. Evidence is EMF level 5, ghost writing, and freezing temperatures. Now, getting into some more specifics with shades in particular, going on to the wiki here, even regardless of a player being in the same room as a shade, they are a lot less likely to perform any type of interaction at all. Whether it be ghost events, hunts even, they're less likely to perform hunts. Messing with the breaker, just normal object interactions like throwing shit around, opening doors. They are far less likely to perform any of those activities. And this makes it annoying to hunt them, but it also makes them one of the safest ghosts to hunt, just because there's a lot lower risk of them actually going on a hunt. It's very rare for them to do anything that is outright dangerous to a player. And there's a few things with that hunt thing that I talked about where that makes them the safest ghost to hunt. First off, shades are... So some ghosts in the game have a higher sanity threshold to begin hunts. If I remember correctly, mares have a higher threshold if a player is in darkness. Demons just have a higher threshold, period. And then I think one of them, I think it might be Onryo, if I'm remembering correctly, has a slightly higher threshold depending on if the power's on or not, because they are more aggressive in low temperatures. Might be the Hantu now I'm thinking about it. Regardless, that's for another day, that's for another ghost hunt. For right now, though, shades are the only ghosts in the game, to my knowledge, that have a lower sanity threshold to begin hunts. They will only start hunts when the players have an average sanity, or the players inside the building have an average sanity of 35%. They cannot start hunts before that moment. It's actually kind of ridiculous. There's also something else that's a little annoying about shades, is the fact that their chance to perform ghost events is tied to your sanity as well. You actually have to lower your sanity a little bit to get them to do anything. At 100% sanity, I'm reading this straight off of the wiki, it has a 0% chance of performing any event. And then that percentage increases per point of sanity lost. So you have to get all the way down to like 50% sanity for them to be guaranteed to perform events whenever they have a chance to. Regardless of that, though, if a player's in the same room as them, they won't do an event. So Shades are insanely hard. Like they are very easy to actually hunt. Their evidence, other than ghostwriting in EMF5, well, kind of ghostwriting and definitely EMF5, don't require you to be in the same room as them. Ghostwriting you can set and forget, and then whenever it writes in the book, you can come back and collect it later. EMF level 5 is a little trickier just because you do need to interact with something, but just exit the room for a little bit, wait, and then come back. Uh, and then freezing temps, of course, they're always there. But anyway, uh, yeah, they are just insanely hard to get optional evidence for. Stuff like audio recordings, video recordings, pictures of the ghost. It is so insanely hard to get a picture of a shade just because uh like even if they perform a ghost event, they are far more likely, and this is where they get their name from, they're far more likely to appear as their shadow form rather than a fully fledged ghost form. Uh it's just nuts how hard it is to actually guarantee that you have a shade just because of getting that like last piece of EMF level 5 evidence. If you have ghost ring and you have freezing temps, check EMF 5 first thing first, especially if the ghost isn't really interacting much with anything, because if I remember correctly, let me go ahead and do a test real quick. See, if you don't have EMF 5, it can be a shade, demon, or Moroi. These two, or actually let me, okay, it could also be a revenant. But regardless, these three are far more dangerous than having a shade. So confirm the one that isn't as dangerous, because once you do, either A, you figure it out right out the gate and you know, hey, we can just get the hell out of here. It's a shade. We're not going to get much like in the way of sounds or recordings, so we can just leave. Or B, you know it's not a shade and now all of a sudden you have to start shitting your pants. Because especially these two. Demons have the higher hunt threshold, like I was mentioning earlier, and Morois have their curse mechanic. These two are the ones that are going to kill you more often than not. Them and Jinn are the three that I have the most trouble hunting. But regardless, yeah, shades are just very tricky in that aspect. Like, even when you use a cursed item, like using the summoning circle, the music box, the monkey's paw, they are far more likely to show up in their shadow form. They will almost never show up in their full form. The only time they do is when they're doing a hunt. So if you ever see a full form of a shade, fucking run. Beyond that, as I said before, if at least one person is in the same room as a shade, it is unable to perform any interactions whatsoever. This includes fuse box, ghost events, hunts, regardless of sanity. You could be at 0 sanity across the board. Everyone is going quite literally insane. All be in the same room as the shade, and it will not kill you until it wanders out of the room, and all of a sudden, hey, there's no players in here. Time to hunt. Now, that being said, shades are known to wander quite a bit, so keep that in mind. You are not entirely safe if you're at a low sanity, but as long as you can ensure that you're in the same room as the ghost, which is somewhat hard to do, but I can see you having like motion trackers, salt piles to track it fairly well. As long as you are able to guarantee you're in the same room as the shade, you're safe. Now, to note with that aspect of things, it can still do interactions that like throw items into your room. So if you see an item flung in from outside the room, get an EMF5 reading on it. It's probably a shade. Don't want to say guaranteed because there are other ghosts that interact like that. But shades are far more likely to move around. They are far more likely to do interactions outside of the ghost room, simply because that's where a lot of players spend their time. So just bear that in mind. Beyond that, though, just looking at some more stuff on here. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's mostly it. Just because the rest I have here is just strategies, which I've given you a lot of the strategies already. The one thing I will say is on higher difficulties that have less pieces of evidence available to people, you can very easily verify whether or not it's a shade just by getting your sanity down lower, which granted on higher difficulties you aren't really able to tell when your sanity is lower, but c'est la vie. Regardless. Yeah, I think that's just about it. Yeah, I think that's almost everything. Just to confirm that I am giving information on the correct type of ghost, because I am like 90% sure this is a shade. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Didn't use up any items, so we're still profiting off of this. And yep, shade. There we go. Yeah, shades are fairly simple creatures, if I'm being completely honest with you. They aren't all that tough to hunt. The only part that makes them tough is the fact that they hide a lot from you, so just bear that in mind. Yeah, by the way, Blood Moon event's going on. And then, where is he? I know he's in, like, the early stages. Yep, here we go. This is the trophy you get for successfully hunting a shade. You can see it sort of, relates to its shyness, its reluctance to show itself just by being slightly invisible. I do really kind of like this one just because it almost looks like an impossible sculpture. Like, part of it's straight up invisible. You can see into the skull. I like all of the achievement skulls, but that one in particular is one that I just hold near and dear to my heart. Regardless, though, that's going to be all for me today, guys. Keep an eye out for the next episode. I don't know when it's going to be uploaded. This, to be honest, this tutorial series is kind of taking up the slot of Monday multiplayer whenever I don't have a multiplayer game going on, so just keep an eye out for any future videos in Phasmophobia. I do want to eventually finish this series, and then hopefully we can move on to something else, like perhaps we go into like higher difficulties of Phasmophobia. Regardless, though, thank you all so much for watching this one. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Go check out some of my other videos. I have a ton of content on various horror games, whether it be Phasmophobia or just other assorted horror games, such as, well, we have Phasmophobia multiplayer, of course. We have the other side, which is similar to Phasmophobia, so go check that out if you're interested in that. As well as I have some single-player games, such as Alien Isolation. So if you want to see me get the shit scared out of myself, go check those out. Regardless, though, again, thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a good day.